everyone, it's Autumn. Today I wanted to do a video about makeup primers that give you a glowy effect on the skin, and this is going to be my Friday focus for this week. And I have quite a few primers that offer a glow to the skin. There are two different categories: the ones that kind of give like an iridescent or like a shimmer or a pearl effect, like the strobing ones that make your skin look more glowy, and then also the ones that moisturize. Some of these kind of do a little bit of both, and I'll talk about those. But before going into these, I kind of want to explain a little bit about primers, or just the way I think about them. There are primers that their job is to make your makeup last longer. And then there are the primers that just prep the skin for makeup. And those are especially important if you have any skincare concerns, or just any dullness or dryness like what I have. So most of these primers are going to be the ones just to add a little bit of life back into the skin. The second thing you want to take into consideration, and a lot of things that people I think overlook when using primers, is the fact that primers have different bases. Some have silicone bases, some have like a water base, or they have an oil base. And when you put a foundation on that is a water base on top of an oil base sort of primer, you're going to have to blend a lot more to get them to work together. And even then, a lot of the times, depending on some of the other ingredients in that foundation, it's not going to last very long on the skin because, again, oil and water do not mix. A lot of people's skin kind of has that natural oil to it anyway, and that's why it's important for those people to put on a primer that helps with the longevity of their makeup. Or if you have drier skin, a lot of times you're not really even going to notice a big difference when doing that, and makeup really does tend to stay a lot longer on drier skin, but then you have to deal with flakiness and things like that. Also, a lot of brands make their primers to go along with their foundation because they take into consideration what the base of the primer and the foundation is. So say you think you have your favorite foundation. So say I have right here, I have the MAC Studio Face and Body Foundation, and then the first primer I'm going to talk about, so I'll just go ahead and bring it up, is an oil-based primer. I put this all over my face, and then I try to use this. This doesn't last very long over top of this, and so I just want to go ahead and point that out, that you need to pay attention to the ingredients in your primer and in your foundation if you're finding that they're not lasting on your skin. So that's just one thing that I need to point out. And a lot of times you can mix them as long as you powder afterwards to kind of help keep things in place. But again, like me, I have drier skin and I don't like to powder the skin because I want that glow. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, and the first one I'm going to talk about are primers that they give a glow to the skin, like a moisturized glow, without adding any like iridescent shimmer or pearl effect to the skin. So it's just pretty much a moisture or like a dewy effect. And this is Qualerex Beauty Handmade Skincare, and this is the Intensive Anti-Aging Face Serum and Foundation Primer Oil. So what this is everything that I pretty much said. It's just an oil. As I pump it out here, it comes with a pump. You can see it's like a yellow amber sort of serum, and you rub it in and you leave it there. So it says in the instructions here to let it sit for 10 minutes and sink into the skin then before applying foundation. So you can apply other foundations that are not oil based with this, but you want to make sure that this sinks into the skin well enough to give you that moisture before applying anything over top, or your foundation will tend to just slide off of your skin. But this has a lot of really good moisturizing ingredients in it. To me, it slightly smells of lavender, so if you don't like the scent of lavender, you probably won't like this. But this has organic argan oil, avocado oil, rice bran oil, camellia oil, macadamia nut oil, pumpkin seed oil, organic seed buckthorn oil, pomegranate seed oil, organic, I can never say this, astaxanthin oil, which I believe is algae, a vitamin E, rosemary extract, dimethicone, and organic essential oil. And the very last one that says organic essential oil, I'm assuming that that's just the lavender that gives the scent. But anyway, this is just really nice. I've been using it a ton since I got it. It's what I actually have on my skin today that gives quite a bit of glow. I'm not quite sure how much glow is coming across on the camera because of the lighting, but I really have been enjoying this. Their website is actually, it'll just link you directly to the Etsy page, but the website is www.qualerexbeauty.com. I'll have it in the description box. but I just really love this stuff. So the foundations I like to use over top is I have this CC cream by Lumi, and it has oils in it. It's not an oil-free formula. So I put this on, and then I go over with my fingers with this and kind of just work into the skin, and my skin looks like skin, and it just looks so natural. So I absolutely love these two together. I also like to use it with powder foundations because you have that oil, and then powder foundations on my drier skin alone tend to start to look, well, I guess powdery or patchy, especially around these areas, and for whatever reason the oil in that kind of soaks in with the powder foundation, and then it just looks like beautiful skin. So a lot of people who use powder foundations tend to use them because they have oily skin, and that's what works for them and that's what stays. So if you don't have oily skin but you want to use a powder foundation, this is a good way to mimic the effects of oily skin to get a really good effect out of these, or any sort of. The two I'm just showing you are the Mally Poreless Perfection Glowing Foundation. So this is a really good one that looks like skin, and then the Bare Minerals Original. Again, this one has a slightly more glowy effect than the Mally, but it just looks gorgeous on the skin. So those are two I would definitely use with that. Although this is an oil-free foundation, this is the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Full Coverage Foundation. I find that since it has the Amazonian clay in it, kind of the same effect with these, where it just kind of soaks in and looks like skin. I was having a lot of trouble making this one look like skin, and I was mixing an oil in with it, which was, I just used this little L'Oreal one around if I want to mix an oil in with my foundation. But I was mixing oil in with it, but you could definitely also do this with any of these that I'm about to show you. Just mix them in with your foundation to kind of give that effect other than just putting it all over on your skin as well. But you could also mix this in with it and have the same effect. Next one I want to talk about is not an oil base. This is the Feel Like Honeymoon Skin Base by Touch in Sol. I do have a box of it because I have a backup. Okay, so this is in Korean, so again, I do not know the ingredients. I'm sure I could look it up online. But if I had to guess, this is probably a water base. It's mostly honey. It's the Feel Like Honeymoon Skin Base by Touch in Sol. This kind of has a stringy effect, if you can kind of see that. And it's like honey. Once you put it on the skin and work it in, it's not sticky anymore. It actually glides very easily. And then this has little bitty gold flecks in it that I guess are supposed to kind of give a glow to the skin. Once I work it in, I don't see the gold flecks any longer. I don't know if maybe they, I don't know, blend into a cream or something once you start blending, or if they just kind of stick to your fingers and disappear. But I don't really notice it on the skin. But what this does just gives a very nice, fresh, dewy, sort of plumping effect to the skin. To where if your skin's just feeling a bit dry, or again you have any of those patches, like say around the nose or from acne or something like that, that you could definitely use this to kind of combat that before putting on your regular foundation. I also like this, well, it's a pro and a con, I guess. I guess it fixes itself. Honey is like a natural sort of antibacterial thing. Words, autumn words. But anyway, what I don't like about this is the application, because it comes on this stick and then you have to put it onto the back of your hand and then rub it onto your face. And that kind of bothers me because I keep dipping that stick in it and out of it. And so that's really annoying, but since honey does kind of have that natural sort of antibacterial effect, I feel a little bit better about it. So I've really been enjoying this since I've had it, and I got the backup in an Allure Beauty box. I purchased this first and then got a backup in an Allure box. So you can get this at Sephora, but also I think NYX has a version of this as well that's a little bit less expensive if you wanted to try that one out. Alright, so the next items I want to talk about are the really pearly effect ones, and I have several of those. Some are more pearly than others, and some are more expensive than others. So the first ones I want to talk about that I think are pretty comparable are the MAC Strobe Cream, and I just have the 1 ounce size, and I paid $10 for this on the Nordstrom website. And then I also have the L'Oreal Magic Lumi Light Infusing Primer, and this costs anywhere from $10 to $13 at the drugstores, and you get 0.68 fluid ounces. So it's actually a little bit cheaper to get the MAC version, but they are different. This one is just a straight up pearl, and it does have a lot of bang for, I guess, your buck here. It's a lot more pigment and a lot more shine, so if you're looking for that extreme strobed effect, I think this is a good way to go. It's pearl, and there you go. And then when you rub it out, you can kind of see it just has a gorgeous glow. And then with the Strobe Cream, I find that it's very similar to that, only this seems to have a pink iridescence to it. So once you kind of blend out, here, I'll put it in the middle, blend out the pearl, you can kind of see it has a slight pink iridescence to it. So just kind of depending on if that bothers you or not. But once it's blended out, it doesn't really look that pink. And then also pink has like a brightening effect on the skin, which is really good if your skin is dull, I suppose. So what I will say the difference between these, the L'Oreal one is more of a primer, I would say. It does have a little bit of silicone in it, along with, it's got alcohol in it. That's about the 4th or 5th ingredient down, I believe. I mean, it's got alcohol in it, but it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th ingredient down. And so I would say this one's more of a primer, and if you do have oily skin and you want that strobe sort of glow, this one right here is going to be a little bit better than the Strobe Cream, because the Strobe Cream is a cream and it's very moisturizing and kind of has that plumping effect that this one doesn't have. This one just kind of gives you that strobing effect. So those are the difference between those two. I have another one that is more like a lotion, and this is the Dr. D. Schwab Flawless Skin Fluid, and this one again is like a lotion. It's not as stark white as the other two that I just showed you, and this doesn't have like an iridescent shimmer. It's like a, I would say, a mother of pearl sort of shimmer, and as you can see, like that. And then rubbed out, again, just a very gorgeous sort of dewy effect on the skin. I would say out of all of them though, the shimmer in this one's a little bit more noticeable. And I noticed it more in the sunlight, like when I put my hand out in the sunlight, I did notice like it had little tiny sparkles on it, but it's not, it's hardly anything. I was outside raking earlier, and I was kind of playing with these on my hands just to see what they looked like before doing the video. So I think though that it's still a beautiful product, and it's very lightweight feeling yet moisturizing at the same time. So if you have dry skin, I think this is a winner. The next one I want to talk about is one that everybody's been talking about recently, and this is the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. And this one, again, it's not a stark white like these two. It's like not a straight on white pearl. This one I think would be better for a medium skin tone if you didn't want that white effect. But this one right here is more of a, I would say, a peach. And there it is. It's like a nude to peach sort of shade. And again, when you spread it out, it's just gorgeous. It has that gorgeous pearl effect. But then once blended in, it looks like healthy skin. It doesn't look like you've been strobing. It really does just give you like that really subtle sort of glow for the skin. So I think if you're wanting something more subtle, this is the way to go. And again, since this is a priming, like it's an actual primer product, unlike this one and this one, this is going to help your makeup stay on a little bit longer. I've cleaned off the back of my hands for some other products. So I have this Burberry Fresh Glow Luminizing Fluid Base. This is super subtle. Again, when you put it on the skin, I think it's very similar to this, only I would say that this leans ever so slightly more pink. But it's super similar. I would say though that this is slightly more subtle than this even, but I think that this is just a fluid base. And let's see, yeah, this has water and glycerin in it, so this is more hydrating, I would say, than this. So if you want something more hydrating for the skin, I would say go for the Burberry. If you want something though that works more as a primer, and it's just a straight up primer, I would say go for the Becca. Next two I have to show you are marketed as primers, and they both kind of have a pink effect to them. And the first one is the Benefit That Gal Primer. This has a very pink effect to it when you first put it on. If I were to swatch it and you look at it this way, you would probably say there's no way I'm going to use that because it's going to make my face look really pink. But then once you rub it all in, it just has a slight glow to the skin, and it doesn't really come across as being too pink anymore. So I think anybody could get away with this. It has hardly any shimmer or anything in it, but it does make the skin feel and look more plump, and it is slightly brightening. So I wouldn't say you would get the strobing effect from this, but you would kind of get that fresh, dewy effect from this. And then the last one I want to show you is a drugstore primer by Maybelline, and this is the Master Prime by Face Studio. And this is their Blur and Illuminate. This also contains a sunscreen in it. It's got an SPF 30. I don't believe any of the other ones contain a sunscreen. So if you are looking for a little bit of sunscreen, this is great. This has that pink effect in it as well, but this is more iridescent. So when you go to spread it out, so here it is on the hand, and then you go to spread it out, and it has like that pink iridescence to it, that kind of like the MAC Strobe Cream has. But I think this one has a little bit more, if you can kind of see that. And since this one is marketed more as a primer, I wouldn't say that this gives a plumping effect that some of these do for the dewiness to kind of help with dry skin. But if you have normal skin and you kind of want a glow, I think this is a good way to go. It works as a normal sort of primer, and it also doesn't clog pores. It's lightweight, non-oily formula. And it also has some blurring things in there to where if you have some larger pores and you don't like to use a lot of these strobing products or anything because it enlarges your pore area, this would be a good one to test out and see if it works for you, because it does have kind of like that. It doesn't feel super silicone-like. Let me look at the rest of the ingredients. It doesn't feel super silicone-like, but I do believe it does have silicone in it. This has glycerin in it. And it does have dimethicone in it, pretty far down, but it does have a touch of dimethicone. So it's not a super slippy silicone feeling, but it does have a little bit in there. So those are all of the primers that I like to use for a dewy glow or for that strobing effect, just to make my skin look more hydrated and plump and bright. If you guys have any suggestions of a primer that falls into this category that you would like to let me know about, leave it in the comment section below. And also if you have any questions or anything else you want to talk about, leave that in the comment section as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!